Wonder. Apples. My birthday is October 10th. I like my birthday. 10:10. It would have been great if I was born at exactly 10:10 in the morning or at night, but I wasn't. I was born just after midnight, but I still think my birthday is cool. I usually have a little party at home, but this year I asked Mom if I could have a big bowling party. Mom was surprised but happy. She asked me who I wanted to ask for my class, and I said everyone in my homeroom plus Summer. That's a lot of kids, Augie, said Mom. I have to invite everyone because I don't want anyone to get their feelings hurt if they find out other people are invited and they aren't, okay? Okay, Mom agreed. You even want to invite the what's the deal kid? Yeah, you can invite Julian, I answered. Mom, you should forget about that already. I know, you're right. A couple of weeks later, I asked Mom who was coming to my party, and she said Jack Will, Summer, Reed Kingsley, both Maxes, and a couple of other kids said they were going to try to be there. Like who? Charlotte's mom said Charlotte had a dance recital earlier in the day, but she was going to try to come after your party if time allowed. And Tristan's mom said he might come after his soccer game. So that's it? I said. That's like 5 people. That's more than five, Augie. I think a lot of people had plans already, Mom answered. We were in the kitchen. She was cutting one of the apples we had just gotten at the farmer's market into teensy weensy bites so I could eat it. What kind of plans? I asked. I don't know, Augie. We sent out the Evites kind of late. What did they tell you, though? What reasons did they give? Everyone gave different reasons, Augie. She sounded a bit impatient. Really, sweetie, it shouldn't matter what their reasons were. People had plans, that's all. What did Julian give as his reason? I asked. You know, said Mom, his mom was the only person who didn't RSVP. I guess we just don't know. I laughed because I thought she was making a joke, but then I realized she wasn't. Go wash your hands so you can eat. My birthday party turned out to be much smaller than I thought it would be, but it was still great. Jack, Summer, Reed, Tristan, and both Maxes came from school, and Christopher came too, all the way from Bridgeport with his parents. And Uncle Ben came, and Aunt Kate and Uncle Poe drove in from Boston, though Tata and Papa were in Florida for the winter. It was fun because all the grown-ups ended bowling in the lane next to ours, so it really felt like there were a lot of people there to celebrate my birthday. Halloween. At lunch the next day, Summer asked what I was going to be for Halloween. Of course, I'd been thinking about it since last Halloween, so I knew right away. Boba Fett. You know you can wear a costume to school on Halloween, right? No way, really? As long as it's politically correct. At least we don't have to come like a character in a book anymore. In the lower school, that's what you had to do. Last year, I was the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz. But that's a movie, not a book. Hello, Summer answered. It was a book first. One of my favorite books in the world, actually. My dad used to read it to me every night in first grade. When Summer talks, especially when she's excited about something, her eyes squint like she's looking right at the sun. I hardly ever see Summer during the day since the only class we have together is English. But ever since that first lunch in school, we sat at the summer table together every day, just the two of us. So, what are you going to be? I asked her. I don't know yet. I know what I'd really want to go as, but I think it might be too dorky, you know? Savannah's group isn't even wearing Halloween costumes this year. They think we're too old for Halloween. What? I know, right? I thought you didn't care what those girls thought. She shrugged and took a long drink of milk. So, what dorky thing do you want to dress up as? I asked her. Promise not to laugh. She raised her eyebrows and her shoulders. A unicorn. I smiled and looked down at my sandwich. Hey, you promised not to laugh, she said. Okay, okay, I said, but you're right. That is too dorky. I know, she said, but I have it all planned out. I made the head out of paper mache and paint the golden horn and the main gold too. It would be so awesome. Okay, I shrugged. Then you should do it. Who cares what other people think? Maybe I'll do maybe what I'll do is just wear it for Halloween parade, she said, snapping her fingers. And I'll be like a goth girl for school. Yeah, that's what I'll do. That's it. Sounds like a plan, I nodded. Thanks, Augie, she giggled. You know what it's like is best for you. You know what I like best about you? I feel I can tell you anything. Yeah? I answered, nodding. I gave her a thumbs up sign. Cool beans. School pictures. I don't think anyone would be shocked to learn I don't want to have my school picture taken on October 22nd. No way. No, thank you. I stopped letting anyone take pictures of me a while ago. I guess you could call it a phobia. No, actually, it's not a phobia. It's an aversion, which is a word I just learned at Mr. Brown's class. I have an aversion to getting my picture taken. There, I used it in a sentence. I thought Mom would try to get me to drop my aversion to having my picture taken for school, but she didn't. Unfortunately, while I managed to avoid having the portrait taken, I couldn't get out of being part of the class picture. Ugh. The photographer looked like he sucked on a lemon when he saw me. I'm sure he thought I ruined the picture. I was one of the ones in the front sitting down. I didn't smile, not that anyone could tell if I had. The cheese touch. I noticed not too long ago that even though people were getting used to me, no one would actually touch me. I didn't realize this at first because it's not like kids go around touching each other. But anyway, last Thursday in dance class, which is my least favorite class, Mrs. Atanabe, the teacher, tried to make Hannah Chin be my dance partner. Now, I've never actually seen someone have a panic attack before, but I've heard about it, and I'm pretty sure Himina had a panic attack at that second. She got nervous and turned pale and broke into a sweat within a minute, and then she came up with some excuse about having to go to the bathroom. Anyway, Mrs. Atanabe let her go off the hook because she ended up not making anyone dance together. Then yesterday in my science elective, we were doing this cool mystery powder investigation where we had to classify a substance as an acid or a base. Everyone had to heat their mystery powders on a plate and make observations, so we were all huddled around the powders with our notebooks. There were 8 kids, and 7 of them were squished together on one side of the plate, while one of them, me, had loads of room on the other side. So, of course, I noticed this, but I was hoping Ms. Rubin wouldn't notice this because I didn't want her to say something. But of course, she did notice this, and of course, she said something. Guys, there's plenty of room on that side. Tristan, Nino, go over there, she said. And so Tristan and Nino scooted over to my side. Tristan and Nino have always been okay nice to me. I want to go on record as saying that. Not super nice, like they go out of their way to hang out with me, but okay nice, like they say hello and talk to me. And they didn't even make a face when Ms. Rubin told them to come on my side, which a lot of kids do when they think I'm not looking. Anyway, everything was going fine until Tristan's mystery powder started melting. He moved his foil off the plate as my powder began to melt too, which is why I went to move mine off. And then my hand accidentally bumped his hand for a fraction of a second. Tristan jerked his hand away so fast he dropped the foil on the floor while also knocking everyone else's foil off the heating plate. Tristan! Miss Rubin yelled, but Tristan didn't even care about the spilled powder or that he ruined the experiment. He was concerned about getting to the sink to wash his hands as fast as possible. That's when I knew for sure there was this thing about touching me at Beecher Prep. I think it's like the cheese touch in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The kids in that story were afraid they'd catch the cooties if they touched the cheese on the basketball court. At Beecher Prep, I'm the moldy cheese. Costumes. For me, Halloween is the best holiday in the world. It even beats Christmas. I get to dress up in a costume. I get to wear a mask. I get to go around like every other kid with a mask, and nobody thinks I look weird. Nobody takes a second look. Nobody notices me. Nobody knows me. I wish every day could be Halloween. We could all wear masks all the time. Then we could walk around and get to know each other before we got to see what we looked like under the mask. When I was little, I used to wear an astronaut helmet everywhere I went, to the playground, to the supermarket, to pick up Via from school. Even in the middle of the summer, though it was hot, my face would sweat. I think I wore it for a couple of years, but I had to stop wearing it when I had eye surgery. I was about 7, I think. And then we couldn't find the helmet after that. Mom looked for it everywhere. She figured it had probably ended up in Grand's attic, and she kept meaning to look for it, but by then I had gotten used to not wearing it. I have pictures of me in all my Halloween costumes. My first Halloween, I was a pumpkin. My second was Tigger. My third, I was Peter Pan. And my dad dressed up as Captain Hook. My fourth, I was Captain Hook, and my dad dressed up as Peter Pan. My fifth, I was an astronaut. My sixth, I was Obi-Wan Kenobi. My seventh, I was a clone trooper. My eighth, I was Darth Vader. This year, I'm going to be Boba Fett. Not Boba Fett the kid in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, but Boba Fett the man from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Mom searched everywhere for the costume but couldn't find one in my size, so she bought me a Jango Fett costume, since Jango was Boba's dad and wore the same armor, and then painted the armor green. She did some other stuff to make it look worn too. Anyway, it looks totally real. Mom's good at costumes. In homeroom, we all talked what we were going to be for Halloween. Charlotte was going to be Hermione from Harry Potter. Jack was going as a wolfman. I heard that Julian was going as Jango Fett, which was a weird coincidence. I didn't think he liked hearing that I was going as Boba Fett. On the morning of Halloween, Via had this big crying meltdown about something. Via's always been so calm and cool, but this year she's had a couple of these kinds of fits. Dad was late for work and was like, Via, let's go, let's go. Usually, Dad is super patient about things, but not when it comes to being late for work, and his yelling just stressed Via out even more. And she started crying louder, so Mom told Dad to take me to school and that she'd deal with Via. Then Mom kissed me goodbye quickly before I put on my costume and disappeared into Via's room. Augie, let's go now, said Dad. I have a meeting I can't be late for. Sorry, I haven't put my costume on yet. So put it on already. 5 minutes. I'll meet you outside. I rushed to my room and started to put on the Boba Fett costume, but all of a sudden I didn't feel like wearing it. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it had all these belts that needed to be tightened and I needed someone's help to put it on. Or maybe it was because it still smelled a little like paint. All I knew was that it was a lot of work to put the costume on, and Dad was waiting and would be super impatient if I made him late. So at the last minute, I threw on a Scream costume from last year. It was such an easy costume, just a long black robe and a white mask. I yelled goodbye from the door on my way out, but Mom didn't hear me. I thought you were going as Jango Fett, said Dad when I got outside. Boba Fett. Whatever, said Dad. This is a better costume anyway. Yeah, it's cool, I answered. Names, page 79. Rat Boy, Monster, Freddy Krueger, E.T., Gross Out, Lizard Face, Mutant. I know the names they'd call me. I've been in enough playgrounds to know kids can be mean. I know. I ended up in the second floor bathroom. No one was there because first period had started and everyone was in class. I locked the door and took off my mask and cried. I went to the nurse's office and told her I had a stomach ache, which was true because I felt like I had been kicked in the gut. Nurse Molly called Mom and had me lie down on the sofa next to her. 15 minutes later, Mom was at the door. Sweetness, she said, coming over to hug me. Hi, I mumbled. I didn't want her to ask anything until afterward. You have a stomach ache, she said, automatically putting her hand on my forehead to check my temperature. He said he feels like throwing up, said Nurse Molly, looking at me with nice eyes. And I have a headache, I whispered. I wonder if it's something you ate, said Mom, looking worried. There is a stomach bug going around, said Nurse Molly. Oh, geez, said Mom, her eyebrows going up as if she shook her head. She held me to my feet. Should I call a taxi or are you okay walking home? I can walk. What a brave kid, said Nurse Molly, patting me on the back as she walked us toward the door. If he starts throwing up or runs a temperature, you should call the doctor. Absolutely, said Mom, shaking Nurse Molly's hand. Thank you for taking care of him. My pleasure, answered Nurse Molly, putting her hand under my chin and tilting up my face. You take care of yourself, okay? I nodded and mumbled, thank you. Mom and I hug walked the whole way home. I didn't tell her anything about what had happened. And later, when she asked me if I felt well enough to go trick or treating, I said no. She was worried since she knew how much I loved trick or treating. I heard her say to Dad on the phone, he doesn't even have the energy to go trick or treating. No, no fever at all. Well, if he doesn't feel better by tomorrow, I know, poor thing. Imagine his missing Halloween. So I got out of going to school the next day too, which was Friday. So I had the whole weekend to think about everything, and I was pretty sure I wouldn't go back to school again.